I'm going to be dyeing half of this sample I have here. So I'll be dyeing an 1/8 pound of the rayon fiber. In the video description there's going to be a link to a Word document which has the amounts and proportions of the different things you're going to need for the dyeing. How much water, how much salt to use, how much dye to use, how much soda ash to use, depending upon how many pounds of fiber that you're dyeing. So to start off the dyeing process, you're going to need to get your water. In my case, for 1/8 pound of rayon fiber, I need 6 cups of hot water, approximately 105 degrees according to the dyeing instructions, or if you use some other dye or you have instructions from the manufacturer of your dye, use whatever temperature or quantities of water that they tell you to use. I'm also going to need 1/4 plus 1/8 cups of salt, which is 6 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of soda ash, but you don't add it immediately. You dye the fiber for a while, then you add it about halfway through the process. You're also going to need the fiber dye that you're using. About a 1/2 teaspoon or a 1/4 teaspoon, somewhere between there should work. A 1/4 teaspoon for a lighter color, 1/2 teaspoon for a more medium shade or a darker color. Alright, let's start dyeing so we can make our static grass. Alright, so you're looking down on the measuring cup which I will be dyeing the fiber in. If you're dyeing an 1/8 pound of fiber, you're going to need 6 tablespoons of non-iodized table salt. What the salt does, or so they say, is negatively charge the water so that the dye will be attracted to your also negatively charged fibers. That's what they say. Don't really know if that's true or works, but seems to work alright. After you get your salt mixed in as best as you can add your fiber. Once you get your fiber added, you can just stir that up, make sure it all gets nice and wet so that the dye will fix to it alright. Then you can add your fiber dye. Again, I am using the Procyon MX cold water reactive dyes, which I got from dickblick.com. I'm only going to be using a 1/2 teaspoon of the forest green and a 1/4 teaspoon of the golden yellow. Here's the forest green. As you can see, it's starting to dissolve immediately. And you may be able to tell, but it looks somewhat blue, which is why we're also going to be adding some of the golden yellow, which actually looks like more of an orange while it's powdered, but it actually works out quite well. It's a very, very yellow color. And as you can see, as it dissolves, it's turning yellow. Alright, now what you have to do is just get this all stirred up nice and well so you have one uniform fluid color. It's going to be very dark. It's going to look black. However, it will work out well. You'll see in the end that it'll be a nice green color. Not sure how well you can tell, but that is a very dark green. But it's going to take about 1/2 an hour because the dye has to soak into and bind with the cellulose of the fiber. So now you just need to let your dye bath and fiber sit for about 20 minutes or so before you add the soda ash. Just try to mix it up about every few minutes so that nothing settles, so that your color is more uniform. If you want a less uniform appearance, a more varied appearance like grass is in real life, then don't mix things up, let them just sit there, and things should look fairly varied. Once you wait 20 minutes, you can add the soda ash to your fiber dye bath, and then you'll need to stir things up and keep mixing for about another 30 or 20 minutes, depending upon whether you want a lighter or a darker shade. If you're dyeing an 1/8 pound of fiber, you're going to need 1 tablespoon of soda ash. You need to make sure you mix fairly well if you want things to be an even color. Otherwise, where you have soda ash sitting directly on your fiber, it's going to get extremely dark, almost a black. Once you wait 20 or 30 minutes, you can then rinse out your fiber. And this is where you use the pillowcase. Pour your fiber, water, dye mixture into the pillowcase, and then just try to squeeze out as much of the water as you can. Then you should be left with a compact little bunch of fiber. You can just pull that out and place it back into your mixing container, fill it back with water, and add just a little bit of Synthrapol, about half a teaspoon, no more than a teaspoon, and then mix that well. That'll help to remove any remaining dye in the fiber. And then you just repeat that until your water runs clear. Alright, that is the fiber after rinsing and squeezing out as much water as possible. It's not yet dried, and the way I'm going to dry it is I'm just going to tie it back up in the bag. I'll just tie the bag real nice and tight so it doesn't come open and throw it in a dryer.